What's going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome to the draft analysis for the APA. I wanted to do this in a little bit of a different way to show these Pokemon in-game because some stuff that you guys probably don't know. We're using Pokemon post-home. As long as they can be genned into the game, we can draft them. So I drafted some stuff that are currently not in the game, even though I'm recording this on February 8th. But I just wanted you guys to see that it is possible to get them in-game, which means we can battle with them. So I wanted to do that so you guys didn't ask like that question whenever this does go live. So I wanted to make sure I did that for you guys. So let's go ahead. You can already see the first pick that I had. I picked Gigantamax Charizard. Whatever. We'll talk about that afterwards. Let's talk about the actual draft itself. This was the second draft we did for this season. First draft that we did, I had a phenomenal team. And unfortunately, because we drafted pre-home, people thought that they would draft different things if it was post-home. So people wanted a redraft. So because of that, I had to redraft. We all had to redraft. Then, once we redrafted, we then started voting on other stuff because we've had a handful of weeks in the WBEs, so we're getting an idea of what busted stuff is, and that busted stuff includes Gmax Pokemon. So we put a vote to Gmaxing if it should be banned or not, and ultimately we decided not to because it would be a really big entertainment loss for YouTube. I agree with that. I also agree that it should be banned because it's busted to play in, but I also can agree that if we didn't have it, it would be a lot less entertaining for you guys watching at home. So while I disagree with it being allowed, I agree that it should be allowed for entertainment, and that's pretty much all that matters. However, Envy said in a meme that we should just force our Gmax Pokemon to hold Pokeballs. Well, here we are. That somehow passed, and instead of just allowing us to hold no item, we have to hold a Pokeball. So here we are with the Gmax rule to where our Gmax has to hold a Pokeball, and that is where we are. Now, because of that, certain Gmax Pokemon get inevitably worse. Gmax Charizard is the biggest one because it can have heavy-duty boots. In the first draft I had Gmax Charizard, I wanted to use this. 1, phenomenal for views. 2, both Melmetals did not make it to me, so I couldn't get either one of those. And 3, I plan on making really nice recoloration for Gmax Charizard specifically, so I definitely wanted to use that. I'm going to be making new recolorations for all of these Pokemon, but for Gmax Charizard specifically, I had a really cool one that my boy Aaron2420 worked on. His links will be down in the description below. Does a lot of recolorations and stuff like that. Does a lot of draft leagues. You guys need to go check out his stuff because he helps me out with literally everything. Yeah, once I go over the draft, I'm going to talk about the schedule and then what you guys can expect from the league. So I picked Gmax Charizard. Looking at Gmax Charizard, I have a really big Rocks weakness since I can't have heavy-duty boots. Since this will be post-home, I can have Roost, which is really, really nice, meaning that I can self-recover if I want to. And that's really, really big because Charizard, as of right now, can't have Roost, meaning that it's really, really susceptible to losing a lot of health to Solar Power, which is a really big downfall to it. However, with Solar Power, with Roost, if I draft Sun, I can have a really, really, really powerful Pokemon. And that's kind of sort of what I wanted to build this entire thing around. I wanted to build it around Sun. And luckily for me, Gmax Charizard is the best Sun option for that because Gmax Charizard it breaks so easily because of its great coverage. Its Gmax move being able to take away 1/6 health every single turn for 5 turns, it pretty much gets a kill on its own with just wildfire like post damage. That's phenomenal. Love this Pokemon to death. I'm super excited to be using Gmax Charizard. The other thing about Gmax Charizard that I think is really, really cool is the aspect of being able to run like max guard with Roost, meaning that if my opponent maxes trying to live a hit, I can max guard, stall them out of a turn, and then I can switch around with that. So really, really cool. Next up, I wanted something that could pressure bulky waters, be a bulky water switch in, and kind of sort of pressure the things that Charizard breaks. So for example, Charizard breaks down steals, so I wanted something that could really break down steals the easiest. And one of the Pokemon that is the new Pokemon that are allowed, that are returning and home, is Kyurem. And Kyurem is going to be my tier 1 Pokemon. Now, the reason why I wanted Kyurem, it got an amazing move this generation. Well, actually a few. It got Dragon Dance, which is huge because physical Kyurem is possible. I've actually ran it before last time I drafted this in the PPL. This thing also now has Freeze Dry, so this set is one that I'm super excited to use, is just Subtoxic Roost, Freeze Dry. Typically, you have to run something that can't hit something. So typically you have to run Ice, which can't hit bulky waters, or Dragon Pulse, which can't hit fairies. This hits waters and fairies. The only thing that walls this is steals, and as I mentioned before, I have a G-Max Charizard. I wanted to draft Sun. There is literally no way that people are going to want to bring Steel types versus me that often. Especially because I also drafted other things that also pressure bulky steals. So this Pokemon I think is going to be a really big nuisance for my opponents to play, and because it's kind of sort of a brain dead mon in certain aspects of being able to run Subtoxic Roost versus certain teams, that it's kind of just easy for me to like not get killed by the timer and Subtoxic Roost, and be able to force my opponent's timer to go down a little bit. Not timer stall, but force their timer to go down a little bit while I like gather my thoughts. That's a really big thing that I learned in WBE so far with like Wish Protect. Having a turn where you can just like spam a button to give yourself the extra couple seconds to like think about what you should do is really valuable in the 10-minute chess timer, and I think Kyurem is really nice for that. So next up I drafted Hatterene. Now, why did I draft Hatterene? One, it's a Magic Bounce user. I have 2 Pokemon weak to Stealth Rocks, and I needed something that would just deter my opponents from bringing hazards every single week. Hatterene is really good at that because it does get access to recovery, it gets access to Magic Bounce, meaning that if I invest this thing properly, it can actually wall out most Stealth Rockers, and that's really big. So certain things like Crustle, for example. Crustle can't really beat this that easily because I can hit it with Psychic, I can Trick Room up on it, I can try to beat it 1v1. And it can't hazard stack me. And that's one thing that I really wanted. I wanted to make sure that I had good hazard deterrent and hazard removal, and this is the really good start to that core. This also gives me a really slow offensive portion of this team that I also did want to draft, because I feel as though Trick Room is really good even in singles, so I wanted to have a Trick Room aspect to this team that I could have, and Hatterene is really good at doing that for me, and I really like the way this Pokemon works just in general. So I think that it's really nice. I like this Pokemon a lot, and I think it'll be a nice little aspect to the team, especially give me the fairy typing, which means that I can now beat other dragons that are a little problematic for my G-Max Zard to try to break through. So bulky dragons, not really that much of an issue anymore because of my fairy typing. So, as of right now, I have G-Max Charizard, Kyurem, and then I have Hatterene. So I don't have a Steel type, I don't have Stealth Rocks, I don't have multiple Stealth Rockers, I don't have any actual hazard removal, I don't have a bunch of things. So, because of that, I wanted to make sure that these next few picks were really specific in the roles that they gave me. And the first one that I wanted was Cobalion. I don't really know how it's pronounced, don't really care. I love this Pokemon, I've drafted it before. It's super easy to use because it's so bulky on the Phys-Def side. It has like base 129 Phys-Def. And on top of that, it gives me a really fast Stealth Rocker, a really fast Volt Switcher, and a really fast Taunt user. Taunt is super nice on this Pokemon. I'm pretty sure it gets Taunt. Like, I'm like 95% positive. Yeah, okay. Whew. Taunt is really nice on this Pokemon because it's able to actually taunt slower Stealth Rockers, and because of its really massive Phys-Def, even if they're like ground types, I can taunt them, prevent them from getting up rocks, and then if they're a ground type, I can pressure them with close combats. Iron Heads, I can Calm Mind up on them if they're like not a ground type, and I can hit them with flash cannons. Very good Pokemon in general as just a bulky pivot. It's not the most offensive Pokemon in the world, however it does get access to Rock Polish and Swords Dance, so it can be like a really good sweeper, and overall it gives me a lot of versatility, and that's kind of sort of what I wanted to go for with this, like a lot of versatility. Also the nicknames are what they actually like were worth. So G-Max Charizard costed me 40 points to get as my G-Max Mon. Kyurem was my tier 1, Hatterene was my tier 2. This is my first free pick for 120 points. Now, the biggest issue that I have with Cobalion is it's the fact that it's kind of sort of setup fodder for bulky psychics. So because of that, I need to ensure that I get a really good dark type that can also pretty much stop bulky psychics in their tracks. And one of my favorite dark types, aside from Obstagoon, is Alolan Persian. And the reason why it's one of my favorite dark types is because it gets access to a really, really, really nice move called Punishment, meaning that no matter how much my opponent sets up, I can hit them with a punishment and it gets boosted depending on how many boosts they have. Now, with how much Iron Defense there is, that's kind of not the biggest help. However, that's why this thing also gets Taunt. My Cobalion also gets Taunt, so I can kind of sort of prevent bulky psychics from setting up from a couple different ways, and that's what I really wanted to go for with this, to be able to knock them off, click Punishment versus them, force them to Psychic or Focus Blast, and then try to take advantage of them after that. And I think it helps out a lot with this team having two really fast taunters and a magic bounce user so far, and that's really, really nice. I like that a lot. This thing's also really bulky. Like, people, I drafted this in the season, I think I drafted it in the season that I won NPA. I think. Or no, did I? I can't remember. I drafted it in one of the seasons of NPA, and I brought it literally every single week as just a bulky pivot, and it lived a stupid amount of hits for no goddamn reason, and it knocked off at least 2 items every single game, and it was a massive clutch. I love this Pokemon. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, and I cannot wait to make this like a recoloration, and I'm going to try to make it like Garfield colors. It's going to be so funny. So, I don't have hazard removal. I don't have the best hazard options, so kind of what I wanted to go for next was I wanted to go for a different type of hazard. I needed a way of breaking down bulky waters if I decide not to bring Sun with Gmax Zard, spamming like max Airstreams, max Solar Beams, they're max Overgrowths in the Sun, things of that nature. So I needed a way of breaking through bulky waters. I wanted to have another way of breaking through bulky psychics potentially, and I wanted to have a bulky pivot as well to go with my Cobalion, my Persian, and this Pokemon I wanted it to be a really good fighting resist because I have 3 fighting weaknesses right now, 2 resists, and I wanted to add a third to that, and that is going to be Vikavolt. Now, Vikavolt I think is a phenomenal Pokemon. This, I'm going to make it Minnesota Vikavolt colors, and I'm going to name it Minnesota, and I'm so excited. That is the goal for this. Anyway, so I wanted this to be a really good way of breaking through bulky waters, being a check to bulky psychics, and also being a switch into fightings, because I am a little weak to fighting at this point. Not super weak, but kind of. But most importantly, this also gives me sticky webs, and sticky webs plus Kyurem is really scary. Like, Specs Kyurem doesn't really have a switch in. And then I also have some other, like, slower Pokemon that can really benefit from webs as well. And, like, Zard really benefits. It slows down, like, base 100, Scarfers, things like that, which is really nice. And this thing will get access to Roost, meaning that with webs plus Roost, it's a reliable sticky web setter that can actually stick around for the vast majority of the battle and just fire off hits. This thing just hits like a truck, and I absolutely love Vikavolt. I had it in the BBL, which is the Banlist Battlers League, and it actually broke through like opponents' teams so much, and the only thing that hindered it were Stealth Rocks. So being able to have it on a league where I can run heavy duty boots and not have to worry about Stealth Rocks is even better. So now I have 1 Magic Bounce user. I got a second, and I wanted 2 of them. I know that they're psychic types. Both of them are psychic types. However, they check similar things and different things at the exact same time. So what I mean by that is Xatu is able to check things like bulky grounds, whereas Hatterene isn't as good at checking bulky grounds. Hatterene is better at checking Pokemon that get Stealth Rocks that are not able to hit like stab rock slides or stab ice punches or something like that. So like Seismitoad, Hatterene is better because it can just switch in freely, whereas this Pokemon is able to switch in on things like Cobalion, for example. If I face Cobalion in the other pool, this is able to switch into it, and that's really good. Unless it has like SD plus Swords Dance, but either way, no matter what, I'm able to, with my 2 psychic types, able to wall the vast majority of stealth rockers to just prevent stealth rocks from ever getting up from my opponent, and that's pretty big. I have really good dark switch-ins, I have an Alolan Persian, and I have a Justified user to prevent like knockoff spam, which is really, really nice. So neither, and I only have one knockoff weakness right now, and that is my Xatu. Hatterene is neutral to it, so not too worried about dark spam. Ghost spam is slightly annoying, so I will patch that up here shortly, but I have my Alolan Persian that is able to switch in on Shadow Balls to be able to take hits like that. So I think while they're very similar, they're also very different, and this can also U-turn to get in my Sun Sweepers, to get in my Kyurem, things like that, and I think that together they're going to make it to where it's very easy for me to keep hazards off my side of the field, and this also does give me a Defogger. So now I have 2 Magic Bounce users, 2 really fast Taunters, and a Defogger, and I'm going to get some more hazard removal coming up, so really, really cool. Now, I did mention that Psychic is a little bit of a problem because as of right now, I only have Alolan Persian, so I wanted to get something that helped out with Ghost types, and I also wanted to get something that could help out in Trick Room if I decided to bring the Trick Room route, because I now have 2 Trick Room setters, so I actually wanted to go with Drampa. Now, Drampa is really, really unique. Super, super excited to use this Pokemon because it's a Tier 5. Okay, let me run down some of what was in Tier 5. Okay, you ready for this? We have Lunatone, Hippopotas, Heatmore, Glalie, Ferroseed, Delibird, Cramorant, Cherum. Like, all of these Pokemon are ass cheeks. Maractus. Nobody asked for this pest. Marini, like, awful Pokemon down in Tier 5. And then we have Drampa with 135 base special attack, decent bulk, light screen, access to Roost and Defog, phenomenal coverage. It now gets Body Press. Like, it's dumb. I'm pretty sure it gets Body Press, right? Maybe it doesn't get Body Press and I'm on drugs. That's possible that I'm on drugs. Very, very possible. But it gets access to so much cool shit that I love this Pokemon for a Tier 5 pick. Gives me a Ghost immunity, gives me a Trick Room abuser, and I promise you, one game I will bring Dragon Dance Drampa under webs and I will sweep somebody with it. Mark my words, it will happen, and it will be the funniest video on YouTube, and I'm excited for it. But overall, really good to help round out the team's, not bulk, but like bulky offense and immunity stacking. Like, I've Hatterene, which is immune to Dragon. I have Cobalion, which isn't really immune to much aside from poison, but it resists a shit ton of stuff. It helps out a lot with a bunch of different hits. I have a Psychic immunity. I have a Ground immunity. I have another Ground immunity. Now I have a Ghost immunity. So really good immunities for like the really offensive types. Because in Gen 7, Excadrill is like running the meta in like Dragapult, Gengar, all these Pokemon are a super, super, super big threat. And having these immunities is really nice. So now, I still only have one Stealth Rocker in Cobalion, and at this point, nobody can take my Suncore. Nobody at all can take my Suncore, so I'm going to have, Turtle Boy. Torkoal. So I'm going to have Torkoal as my last pick. So I'm going to have another Stealth Rocker, but I wanted to have at least 3. And I wanted to also have a Rapid Spin blocker. So I actually went with my Golurk. This gives me a ground type, which I do not yet have. So I have an electric immunity now. I have a normal and a fighting immunity. As I said, fighting is a little problematic for me because I do have like 2 quad resists and a regular resist, but I also have like 3 weaknesses. So having a fighting immunity is really, really nice, especially with things like Terrakion running around. It's really nice to have this Pokemon. This Pokemon also has really, really, really good bulk. Like 80, I think it's like 89. Yeah, it's 89, 80, 80. Really, really nice. Has access to Iron Fist. Has access to No Guard. It also got Close Combat this generation. It's really, really strong. And it also gets access to Stealth Rocks, which is what I really wanted. So I've also never used Golurk, but I've heard a lot of people like hype up Golurk like crazy. So I'm really excited to use it. And ultimately, I think this Pokemon's going to be a lot more useful than what I give it credit for, because an electric immunity for my team is really nice, considering the fact that I have Xatu plus Gmax Zard. So, I'm excited to use this Pokemon. I'm excited to use it a lot. So, next up, final 2 picks of the team. You already know one is Torkoal, the other one is going to be Venusaur. This Pokemon, I'm so excited to use, because finally, we have a definitive best Sun Sweeper in Venusaur. Past gens, like Venusaur didn't have Weather Ball, but now it has Weather Ball, and it's able to click Weather Ball under the sun, have a strong fire attack to be able to break through steels, grass coverage to be able to break through waters, and then steel type or poison type coverage to be able to break through fairies. It is super, super, super potent as a wall breaker, and I absolutely love it. It's also really good at running physical, because it does get access to Power Whip plus Earthquake. The thing that kind of sort of pisses me off about this Pokemon, and that I kind of sort of want to talk to a Game Freak developer about, is why in the actual bloody hell does this Pokemon not get Toxic Spikes? Toxic Spikes is a TR. And this is a poison type. Why doesn't it get Toxic Spikes? Literally just shoots Toxic Spikes out of its little, like, bulby thing on its back. Makes absolutely no sense, but gives me a grounded poison type to be able to beat other Toxic Spike users, which is also really cool. And Chlorophyll in the Sun gives me elite speed. And I also have Sticky Webs, so if I'm facing another, like, Sun Sweeper, like, Choice Scarfed something, Vileplume. Sure, we'll go with that. If I have webs up, doesn't matter. Gardevoir, if I have webs up, doesn't matter if it traces my Chlorophyll, I can still click Sludge Bomb versus it. This Pokemon is going to be what I'm going to try to aim to get the majority of the kills with. I have a feeling it's going to be Gmax Zard because it's just that good of a breaker, but I feel like this Pokemon is going to be like one of the elite cleaners of the league, and I'm super excited for it. I love Venusaur. I've been wanting to use it for so long, and it has reliable recovery and synthesis, so it can be bulky, it can be offensive, it can do whatever I want it to do. And to round everything off, we do have Torkoal. We got the sun aspect. We're able to have sun for an infinite amount of time, be able to spam max wildfires, max airstreams, max overgrowths, max everything with Charizard, and then be able to come in with Venusaur and clean up the game. Super, super, super good offensive team. This gives me access to Rapid Spin, and it also gives me another Stealth Rocker. So now I have... So, hazard removal for the entire team. I have 2 Magic Bounce users. I have 2 Fast Taunters. I have 2 Defoggers, and I have a Rapid Spinner. Really good hazard control. Best team with hazard control I've ever drafted. Because if you guys know me, I typically don't give a rat's ass about hazard control. I'm pretty much just like... I will do whatever. It doesn't really bother me. And I'll just learn to play around it. But with this... I feel as though I actually have a really good chance of like having my Gmax Zard come in at full health every single turn and be fine. But yeah, this is going to be the team of the Baltimore Corviknights for the APA. I am so excited for this season. Let's talk about the schedule real quick. First off, I got shafted. I'm just going to be real with you guys. The schedule's ass. They completely randomized the schedule, and instead of keeping it in just our pool, because as I said, we split it up into 2 pools of 10, and instead of just letting our pool battle our pool and like 2 randomly from the other pool, it got completely randomized, and I'm ending up playing like, I'm playing 3 Melmetals, I'm playing 4 Grimmsnarls, I'm playing 2 Seismitoad Corviknight cores, I'm playing both Necrozmas, I'm playing, trying to think, what else am I playing? I think I'm playing 3 Hatterines, and I have the 4th, I think. Like, I'm literally facing repeat Pokemon for, like, a solid 50% of the season, so I apologize in advance if a lot of my teams are similar. But it sucks, but I'm going to be facing a lot of really quality opponents, and it's going to have a lot of really good content for you guys, and I'm hoping that it means a lot of views for me, so a lot of money for me in my bank account, because I got a wedding to pay for. We play... I'll go ahead and just read you guys off the schedule, because realistically, this schedule, it's going to be hard, but it's also going to be a blast. So I play Ultra Player, Monotui, General Tar Heel, who's a bot, and he kind of looks like a Reuniclus, so I'm not worried about him. Mewtwo fan Nate. Then, this is where it gets interesting. Mowit, Joey, Jam, Chimp. What the hell? How did I get all of them in a row? And then I play Leo and Vivid and Ogle, and then I play Envy to round out the season. I'm going to try to see if Envy wants to play in person, because he lives like 45 minutes away from me. We're going to see Birds of Prey tomorrow, so I'm really excited for it, but this season's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I don't like the way the schedule worked out, but I'm still hoping that it'll be a good time for you guys. And I'm hoping it'll be a good time for me too. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the whole team overall. This is going to be the team that we're working with for this season of the APA. I'm super happy with it. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like down below for me. Also, make sure you check out all of the links in the description down below. It has a lot of really good stuff for you. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember, don't do anything I wouldn't do. Bye-bye.